Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 21 of the Deu Awuok Show, where it is my job to interview professional and collegiate soccer players about their life journeys around the beautiful game. On this episode, I speak with Nuukele Gboe, professional soccer player for Georgia FC. Amongst other things, we talk about his experience leaving Liberia behind at the age of 13 to pursue his professional soccer dreams, the struggles of navigating college recruiting and the college application as a first gen student with no family in the States, getting called up to the Liberia National Team, and the amazing work he's doing with his academy back home in Liberia to provide opportunities for young girls and young boys. I really enjoyed this super insightful and engaging episode, and I hope you do too. Nuke, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me, man.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Excited for this conversation. Let's start with some introductions. So, tell us your full name, where you're from, and an interesting fact about you.
My name is Nuukele Gboe, but everyone call me Nuke, and I was born in Banga, Liberia.
Nice. Where did you grow up? I know you were born in Liberia, but you think you came to the States at a young age. When was that, and how was your experience growing up in the States?
I was born and raised in Liberia. I came to the U.S. I would say at the end of 2013. I was in middle school when I came. Before coming here, I went to Blackpool, England. I was in Blackpool, England for 2 years, play on the Blackpool Academy, and then before I got the opportunity to come to the US.
So, you came to the US because of soccer. Talk to us about how the opportunity came about and I guess your rationale as you made that decision to, like, I'm assuming you left your family behind in Liberia to come to the States?
Oh yeah, man! Like I was very young, like grew up in a third world country, so that was like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So to be honest, I wasn't even sure I was coming here because it was all from like a select soccer tournament in Liberia. So
Hmm.
I was part of the five that was selected from Liberia. And it wasn't just from Liberia, it was from other countries in Africa and part of the world. So I got that opportunity and we came to Dallas, Texas. That's where we were. And then there was like 500 of us. And the program, they were only trying to select 50 players out of the 500. So there was five players from each country that was selected. So we all was in Dallas, Texas. So we went through like a trial process. And luckily enough, I was a part of the 50 that was selected. And that's how I got the opportunity to stay in the US for soccer.
Oh, wow. I guess, what was the program called, and how did you cross it?
The name of the program was US Select Soccer, and so they did that through like the YMCA because in Africa the YMCA is very big in Africa, like the Young Men Christian Association. So the US Select Soccer they partner with the YMCA and they have that program. So it was a very good program, but unfortunately they put into the program, so we were one of the last group.
Oh, wow. And so I'm assuming you came by yourself. The whole family was still back in Liberia.
Yeah, so yeah, I came here at the age of 13. I mean, I came out as a kid, but at the same time too, like because being raised in Africa, like even though you are a kid, but your thought process is different from other kids because like you experience struggle at a young age, so it's like that help you develop physically and mentally.
100%. Yeah, you tend to mature a lot younger. Like, I remember when I was 7, 8 years old in South Sudan, I was responsible for doing things that, like, a teenager in the US probably wouldn't be able to do, just because the conditions kind of force you to do that. I'm assuming you kind of moved to the States and lived with the host family. Is that the setup? Or how did it work? Or were you in an academy environment?
No, so at first I was with a host family. So when I first came, it was like from host family to another host family, and then I later on went to Cleveland, and then I end up in Columbus, Ohio, with my current family I'm with. So like it was like a easy connection with the last family because it was like people that my family knew from back home. So it was like a easy transition. But like the first one, it was very tough because you were in like a environment you don't really know the people and the stuff about host family too. There are some people who just get involved in the program just for the money. They don't really care about the person they are taking in. So I actually experienced some terrible host family. Like I went to like five different host family, and the fifth one luckily was a good fit.
To be moving around that many families at such a young age in a new country must have been extremely tough. But it looks like you powered through that, and it kind of helped you get to where you are today. Talk to us about your high school experience, right? I was looking at your bio earlier, and you had a pretty impressive high school, right? You were two-time team MVP, broke the school record for the most number of goals scored for the high school career, as well as first team all conference, on top of other awards. Talk to us about your high school experience and what you think helped you have such a successful career, despite the things that were going on outside of soccer, like with the host family.
Yeah, so I think it's like playing in Africa is like different game pace coming to the US. So
Hmm.
and because this high school that I ended up going to, which is Griffith Madison High School, very good school. Like I still have a very great relationship with most of the people there. But it was very different because we have a handful of kids that actually play soccer on the team, and there
Yeah.
was a lot. There was I remember the goalie we had. He played basketball. So yeah. So and normally they just play other sport just to get fitness in or just to stay active. So like the soccer team wasn't really competitive compared to like other high school because the high school soccer in Ohio is very, very, very competitive. If your team is
Yeah.
not good, you struggle. So
Yeah.
I was lucky enough that I was able to help my team, and I was the high goal scorer as a freshman and as a sophomore. And then like I graduated early, and then I started playing on like the academy level because the competition in high school soccer and the academy level it wasn't the same. So I think it was like a good decision. That decision helped me into the player I am today.
Okay. So you only did 3 years of high school, and then that fourth year you played academy soccer.
Yeah, so yeah, when I found out because I was training with the Columbus Crew Academy and why in high school, and then at that time I didn't have like my status, so it was very very hard to balance both. And then, so when I was able to get that, I just focused more on the academy aspect.
Okay. And was that the gap before you went to Niagara?
So like I played 2 years, and then when I graduated, and then like I took a gap year because like I said I
Hmm.
was doing in the process of my paperwork, and when I graduated I was one of like the top prospect in the country, but at the same time it's like being an immigrant, if you don't have the document, all of that stuff play a major role into like entering in college because I would do the application, but I will always get stuck at that point. What like are you a U.S. citizen, yeah, or like a green card holder? And then so it was or international student, but I didn't really count as an international student because I was already in the U.S. So it was a
Hmm.
very very hard process.
I can understand. How did you get past that to be able to finally go and play D1 soccer in Niagara?
So I actually like luckily for Niagara University, like the coach. I mean, like funny story, like he tried to recruit me when I was still in high school in the playing for the Columbus Crew. But at first, when I heard the name, I thought it said Nigeria University because like when I first saw it, like I kind of thought it was like Nigeria University. I was like, man, I just came from Africa. I ain't trying to go back. Yeah, I ain't trying to go back to Africa to play soccer again. So I kind of slept on them and like I like wasn't really I was ignoring the call, blah blah blah. And plus too, like there was a lot of big schools I was looking at, which I learned from this point. Like a lot of mistakes that young student actually make. The focus on the big schools or the name or Division 1 rather than Division 2 or Division 3. So I was focusing on a lot of the big schools, and at the end of the day, it was the smaller school that was able to help me more than all of those big schools because those big schools they didn't know my story, they didn't know like the problem I was facing. So once they will talk to me and they like me, and once time come to make the decision, they pulled out. So like now I was like I was left hanging. That was one of the reasons I took a gap year.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. So following those issues with paperwork and trying to navigate, the college scene as a first gen college student living in the US by yourself, you finally made it to Niagara, where you played soccer there for a few years. How would you describe your experience at Niagara and your D1 college experience overall?
So Niagara University is a very very good university, but like not just the soccer aspect. Because prior before I went there, the school was at a low end. They were very like sport wise, they were struggling in like the soccer area because I know yeah, Canisius used to beat them and stuff, but that was like then. But like my recruiting class, it wasn't just me, but like I think the recruiting class the coach brought in that year, like after COVID really shaped the programs because we had players from Canada, like Gabby McKenna. He actually playing for St. Louis right now. He transferred to Syracuse, and he was St. Louis right now. And then we have Herman, and then he's Santa Clara. Then we have like Asher Brown. He's I think Western Michigan now, and so like he brought in a lot of good like freshman and transfer. So he didn't just focus on freshman because at that time you need like experience rather than bringing young class in what they're gonna have to learn the flow of the game. So he brought in transfer and he brought in like freshman. So that was able to add on to the talent they already had, and we just had an amazing season. But luckily for us, we actually choked in the conference semifinals. But it happens. But school wise, it's a very good university. Like you have easy access to the professor because most of those big schools where you in like classroom with like 300 plus students and the professor don't even know you by names. You don't have that face to face interaction. So I think that was what make Niagara different from most of the big university because like that it make the learning experience a lot easier compared to just being like a mega classroom where you don't really know anyone or the professor don't even know you by face or name. Like you show up to class, you don't show up to class, the professor doesn't really care. That I think that's what set Niagara apart from other universities.
Yeah, I totally agree there. And I felt a similar experience during my time at Canisius too, right? Especially when you're traveling, you're missing classes,
Yeah.
having that access to teachers so you can get caught up on stuff you missed was super important. And to your point about the recruiting class and the shift, right, in the program, like I saw that firsthand because the first few years I was at Canisius, I don't think we lost once to you guys. It would be easy win every year. And then
Yeah.
obviously your class came in and you guys started doing well. And I think you guys were the last few years you guys have been beating us. But now we got a new coach, and I think they just beat him this past spring. So we'll see how they do this year. So following your college career in Niagara, you decided to go play professional soccer, right? And you've experienced at various levels at both the semis as well as professional levels, right? Playing for teams in the NPSL, NISA, and USL League Two. For those not familiar with the soccer landscape in the US, can you talk to us about your experience playing at those teams and provide some context?
Yeah, so now like that's why I'm saying like now the soccer station in the US now is a lot easier for kids to go pro than back when I was like a teenager or stuff like that, or like when I was in high school. Because now you have MLS Next. MLS Next Pro, which is like the second team for like the MLS teams. So
Mhm.
back when I was playing academy, we used to call that like a like DA, like that was like the old what we call like the U23 teams. But now that's another professional team. So now you have all of these young kids, like 16, 17-year-old kids. I mean, most of them sign amateur contract. By the time they go to college, they already got like 50 to 70 pro games in. So now they have the choice to either keep that pathway and go pro or go to college. So you have that with like the USL League One. You have that with NISA. So the MLS Next Pro, USL League One, and NISA, they are all like the third division US on the bracket. Then you have USL Championship, and then you have the MLS. And then below below USL One, MLS Pro Next, and NISA, you have USL Two. I would rank USL two a little bit above NPSL because just because of like the way like the USL two is structured is more professional in my eyes than the NPSL. But the NPSL is good because the NPSL been around a long time. But the USL is new because whenever there's when something is new, they have fresh ideas. They bring in different stuff in, and then you have the UPSL. And the UPSL, in my opinion, is actually growing too because there are like over 1,000 of UPSL teams. You got different division across the US. So UPSL, MPSL, and USL 2 is like it's like they kind of lead like what you can play together. Let's say if you like a pathway from college to pro, or doing the off season for college where you
Hmm.
play during the summer just to stay active and go back to college. So it's very good for like videos and stuff to stay active, and then you send them to scout. So that rather than just having like a college highlight, you can have a little bit of mixture in a new environment, new. Basically, almost every year is a new team. So now to see how you can, yeah, how you can like survive in a new environment rather than being in your comfort zone. Like say, I would call college your comfort zone, where you've been knowing your teammates for long, from freshman, sophomore, junior. Even though people will leave and people will come, but you're gonna still have like a group of people that are gonna still be there. Rather than those someone leaves, someone teams where like every season is like probably like a brand new team, brand new coaches. So like that's like an environment. If you can learn from that environment, because the soccer market is like that on a professional level. You may have a coach today, tomorrow that coach is gone,
Yep.
and then a new coach in, and then you have to adapt. So it's all of that. So that's what I'm saying. Like the pathway to pro right now is a lot easier compared to like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like that's the case, and it's great for U.S. soccer. And I'm sure things like having Copa America this summer, the World Cup coming out in 2026, also all those things will help, develop and grow the game. Looking back on your experience playing in those various leagues, were most of the players playing for those teams getting paid, or was it only on certain leagues?
I'm pretty sure there was some those kind of semi-professional, but you're not allowed to get paid. But at the same time, based on the structure and like U.S. soccer stuff, I'm pretty sure there were some players that do get paid, but it's not like a contract based salary. It's just like a stuff what like the general manager or the team gonna try to help you because you're far away from home for that summer
Mm,
to find like a place to stay, give you like a summer job, find just a little bit things to get you food and stuff. But it's nothing crazy when you own like a salary base, but it's just like a stuff like a common living accommodation stuff like that. But there was some NPSL team that because I used to be in the same conference with Milwaukee Terrain, they're based in Wisconsin. They had like a professional setup, so I know most players on that team were actually getting paid, but they were in or amateur league. But players on the team were actually getting paid like a professional player. But it's like I say, it's every organization is different.
would you say USL Championship is the first? I mean, it's the second tier to MLS, but would you say that's the level where most of the guys on the team are getting paid a salary, or is there a level below that that you think are also getting paid?
The MLS Pro Next, USL League One, and NISA, all those level all under the USA Championship. So players in the third division are on salary base too, but it's very different for per players because every players have did a different market value. That resume is different. That experience is different. It's basically if you have a good agent, you could be like a terrible player, but you have a good agent, and your agent know how to negotiate. That's how all of that play in hands, and that's one thing on this level you learn. You never talk about your income to another player because you want to keep that like a little bit of privacy because you don't want someone having that over you because that can actually affect performance on the field because be like, oh, like, well, why am I going to work twice as hard? He's making more money than me, and I'm doing his job. So like that's just the mindset because like that's one thing as a kid growing up. My mom always tell me like the five finger on your hands is not equal for a reason. That's every stepping stone in life because you can never compare yourself to nobody because you don't until you be in that person's shoes to know what they got going on before you try to compare your life to them. So that's how it is. But I think, but in my opinion, the MLS Next Pro and USL have a lot professional setting than NISA because in the USL you have USL player union. So as a, for example, if stuff is going on, it's what like former professional players that experienced stuff back in the days where they didn't have people like that to help them, so they decided to come together and form that organization to help current players. So it's like stuff where, like I say, you're not getting paid on time, or the team is not following what in the contract. The player union can step in for you as a player and make sure you actually get everything that was on your contract. But the lower that you go in the league, those leagues, some lower league teams don't have that. So that's why I think the US will have a lot better structure.
That makes a lot of sense. You've been called up to the Liberia National Team, both the youth level as well as the senior team. Talk to us about what the experience been like for you to represent, the mother country.
I mean, like it's always a dream to, because as a kid, I mean, growing up, you hear the Liberia Lone Star. That's like something you want to do. Like you even dream about, like in the shower, like scoring a game winner goal in the African Cup of Nations, like celebrating and stuff. So like I like the youth level. It was a very good opportunity. Like, but going back home and playing, even though that's like the highest level in the country as you can play for, going back home, you can just see how far we are behind. Because, for example, like when I went back, I was talking about the national team. When I went back for like the national team training, like you got players in the fourth division in Liberia. Guys that have over 20, 30 caps with the senior national team playing first division soccer in Liberia. Some guys making $75 a month. If you're making $75 a month, that's big. You have some guys making $50 a month and they cannot even get that money on time. And those guys playing for the national team. So like, I mean, in my opinion, it was a good experience for me. Like the goal is to, now we have a new coach, because so now you got to showcase new things. Like I say, because the first coach that was there, he recently got sacked. Now they brought in a new coach, and this new coach, his philosophy is a little bit different. He trying to fix a stronger uh, homegrown team. Because that one thing about Liberia, we have a lot of good foreign players, but we don't have like a good local based national team. So now he
Hmm.
trying to fix the local based national team and just add few foreign based players, so like that. Because sometimes not most of the players don't want to come home to play for Liberia because of like the whole system. Like just to name a few, we have guys like Timothy Weah. His dad was the president of Liberia. He played for the US. You have the Darlington Nangby, played for the Columbus Crew, one of the MLS and the legend. His dad was one of Liberia's greatest midfielder. He's from Liberia. Like Ian Wright played for the U.S. national team. Another Liberian. He got Alfonso Davies. Just to name a few. So like we have talent, but because of the structure we have back home, and it's making most of the players choose that family future over coming back to Liberia. Because number one, players can go play, they're supposed to pay them like a per dime and stuff. Most of the players don't even get that, so that's and those guys don't even make ends needs. So like that's why it's
Yeah.
very difficult for players to choose playing for that home country, that mother country, compared to other countries that are going to give them more opportunity and a better life and a better future for them and their family. That's just the downside of it. But it's like for me, it was always a pride, because like I said, I'm not really playing for like the money, or just a pride to play for my country.
That makes a lot of sense. And it sounds like once the infrastructure is fixed and, you know, players are comfortable that they will go and have a good experience playing for the national team, I'm sure a lot of them would choose to play for the mother country as opposed to the second country. So hopefully, that things get sorted soon and, Liberia national team will be thriving.
Yeah, for sure.
As you had gone back to the home country, you started an academy. Right? Talk to us about the the mission and the purpose of the organization and what you're looking to accomplish with it.
So back home when I was in Liberia, like I was fortunate enough that my parents could afford to get me in football boots. Back when we called it football boots, but yeah, soccer cleats, to get me like a boot to play in. But there were so many kids the same age as me playing together on the same field, have so much talent and potential, but they don't have the proper the proper gear. None of those things. They don't have the common soccer cleats. And then most of them play barefooted. Some of them play with socks. Some of them play with like a sandals. We call it that leket. So all of those things. So when I had the opportunity to come to the US, and like I said, I was five, I was selected. And I came here and I saw out of the five, I was the only one that was selected, and the other four got sent home. That actually it, it broke my heart because I was like, wow, like okay, what did I have like they didn't have? And in my opinion, it was most of them was actually a lot better than I was. But because I got the opportunity to play outside of Liberia, like I said, I had a chance to play for Blackpool Academy. So it was just that little bit of edge. Or like I know like if you're in like a team environment, what most coaches want to see is like how you fit in with other players, like passing, movement, not if you being a ball hog trying to show like doing 20 step over showing like you better than everyone. Rather you to make the people around you better or you trying to make yourself stand out in front of everyone. Try. They don't want to see who stand out. They want to see how you can make all the players around you better, how to communicate, how to lead, so stuff like that. So I think that's what I learned myself a lot bigger than what they had. So when I came here and I started the organization in 2018. I was still in
Mm.
college, and I was like, okay, how can I give back to my community? Like I know I don't have much, but how can I help out? And so like I reach out to a lot of people back in Liberia, and most of them they're talking about, oh, like I have I'm the president of this first division team. We can use a sponsor. Like nah, that's not what I'm trying to do. Or most people come like, oh, I have like an old timer team. I'm like old timer, that time is already done. I don't care about old timer. So like and then I thought of like my grassroots coach. His name is Abu Musa Sharif. He's one of the guy in Liberia, like everybody know. Like so I reached out to him and I was like, oh, I'm thinking about I have this idea I want to bring to life and I think you the guy that can help me do that, but at the same time I want to see what you have in mind. So when he opened his mouth to like tell me like his dream and vision, like it felt like I was talking to him because like we had similar ideas. So I was like, Jaffa, this the guy I really want to work with. So first, because whenever you're starting something, you don't want to start very big and then don't know how to manage it. So I'm like, okay. So since right now I'm very limited in funds, so let's start with one team just to see how we get the structure of that, and we can grow as we get bigger. It's like that's a good idea. It's like okay, what about we start with a U12 because that's like a good age group to start with. And I was like, you know what, I'm on board. So we formed a U12 team in 2018, and we found a good coach, and the kids were doing well. And then I think that year the kids played over 60 plus games. They went undefeated,
Wow.
like undefeated. So now like the name Bong Investment Football Academy is just stand for BIFA. Bong is like the county where I was born in. It's Banga City, Bong County. So like I want to name Bong Investment Football Academy. And a lot of people ask me about the word investment in the name because when people hear investment, they always think about money. So I was like, okay, like that investment is different because we invest in the youth because they are the future. So that's why we're trying to show. And for the academy, we don't just focus on soccer. We're using soccer as a tools to motivate them to do better in school. The whole structure is the academy is focused on education structure because we realize that the education rate in Liberia is very very low. Like most of the kids they drop out because they have to help their parents bring income in. So now the parents can afford school fees. So now they're gonna have to drop out of school. Now they at a young age, like 7, 8, they helping. That's why I said when I came, I was already mentally developed because that's what kids had to do at a very young age. So that's why we up at first we partnered with like one school, but now we are partnered with a total of 46 schools back in Liberia. And so now we started with one team. Now we have a team from U8 to U17. And last year we formed that we opened on a U a senior professional team at first because they were playing the Liberian fourth division league. Kind of like a professional league, but it's in the fourth division. So currently the team is in second place right now. So they're going to get promotion to the third division. So now they'll consider a professional team. So so now the reason we started that team last year because we noticed most of the kids are graduating from the academy, like graduating from high school. So and then once they graduate high school, now the academy can help them no more because they already passed that age group. And then now they return to the same lifestyle they were doing. So we're like, okay, like how can we fix that? So like every year, like this past graduation year, we there was 12 students that graduated. The year prior to that, it was 26. And the year before that, it was 8. And then this coming graduation year, we have a total of, if I'm making a mistake, like 13 or 14 will be graduating. And with all of that stuff, like we don't have any sponsors. So like and it's only Bryce. Bryce is our only sponsor, but he sponsors us with goalkeeper glove. Yeah, so that's like the only consistent sponsor we have. Like every year, he sends us like a huge package of goalkeeper gloves. So like that's the only thing the academy is not lacking is goalkeeper gloves. So we stack on that one. So like yeah, all of the funds come from my pocket. So we're not just creating that opportunity for the kids, we're also creating jobs for people because we have coaches. We employ coaches and then we employ tutors because the academy is very big on education and the only rules we have is I kind of stole the American idea a little bit of like the grades to play. So if you don't have certain grade point average, you cannot participate. So like if your grades are bad, you're not allowed to train till you put your grades up. So how can we help them do better in school? So we decided like because not everyone is like gifted, not because some people may be smart on their own, but other people need extra help. So we hired tutors to help them. So we have science tutor, math tutor, English tutor, history, all of the subject, and all of that money come from me. Like I said, we don't have any sponsors. So that's what I do. And then so we've been going on. So I ship to Liberia twice a year. We ship usually in December and we
Mhm.
ship in July. So we ship like soccer equipment, school supplies, personal hygiene items, and stuff like that. So now, like, we started with 19 players. Now we have 326 players in the whole academy. And in the
Oh,
last 2 years, we recently added a female program too. Hopefully by next year, we're trying to expand in other aspects other than soccer. So we're trying to adapt to track and field, basketball, tennis, and stuff like that, just to create an opportunity for most of the kids in the living in poverty in Liberia. And the most important things we do in the academy, which I think is my favorite, is the Feed a Kid program. So we know how the poverty rate is very, very hard, not just in Liberia and Africa as a whole. So we have a program called Feed a Kid that we feed them twice a day. So like we do that, and then like I said, all of that come from me, and then we do that. We feed them. So that's like the only program that I actually try to make sure and keep on going all the time because with all that, with all like food security, that's one of the major problem we have in Liberia.
that's incredible, man. And kudos to you for starting this because I think there's a tendency to like think, oh, I don't have much now, right? Like, let me help and give back when I've made it, right? Quote unquote, made it. And I think that's the wrong approach. I think you can always help whatever condition you're in, right? Whether that's your time or whatnot, and to be able to kind of start there early and to ensure that you're providing these opportunities for these kids is incredible. So kudos to you there. It's quite impressive stuff. As you think about scaling and expanding to other sports, into other geographies, how like how sustainable is that for you, especially given that you're self funding these stuff and you don't have any sponsorship?
And so I mean, like, it's very hard, but prior to making the decision to do that, that's one thing I always told myself: no matter how hard it is, I'm going to like keep doing it till I can find someone to help me. So I reach out to numerous of people. Like I have some people that help. Like we have like GoFundMe page, so sometimes we get some help from the GoFundMe page, and then like so like
Hmm.
stuff like that. So it's not like it's like 100% every time I'm doing it, but we get some help from the GoFundMe page. And due to that, we have like few kids right now doing well. Like we have like three of the kids right now being called up for the Liberia U17 national team. Then we have two on the U15 national team. And then we actually doing the paperwork for one about to head to Canada. And then we have five in South Africa right now, like a trial. So it's like it's not like we just they're just playing in Africa, but we're also doing that. We're trying to create opportunities for them. And then right now I'm working on a project. Like this December, I'm gonna take some scouts to Liberia, so professional scouts, some prep school scouts, some college scouts. Go to Liberia, we're gonna do like a 1 week combine just to create a little bit of a pathways, because we all know like in a soccer system, not every only like feel like 1% or probably less than that of the players in each academy make it to professional level. So that's how we like yeah, that's how we create other systems. Like we have like a trade school, what they learn how to do different things other than soccer. So right now, like our long term goal is like we're working right now for our own facility because we recently bought 12 acres of land that cost us like over 25,000. So we're trying to our own land space. So now that's the long term goal is to build our own stadium and then training facility and a community center. I want to have like a trade area, like it could be like carpentry, like a IT area just for them to learn different trade. Because now, like I think learning trade will be something that will help them in life. I mean, you can start your own business. You can start like an IT company. You can start like a carpentry company. You can start doing. So we're just trying to like to make them see the bigger picture. Even though we wanted to have a dream of becoming a soccer player, but at the same time, we wanted to have like a other dream because if soccer don't work out, what's plan B? What's plan C? So even though we want soccer to work out for them, but at the same time, we want them to have because life don't go as planned as we want. There's different path. So that's why we're trying to create different opportunities for them to like be able to be successful. And with like the females, we have like a girls vocational institute. I was lucky enough that my older sister owned another non-for-profit organization, it's like a girls vocational institute. So like I partner with her. So now we put the girls in there. They learn how to do makeup. They learn how to cook. They learn how to do like tailoring, so like different trades like that. So like in the future, because we know the stereotype of female back home was soccer is not for women, blah blah blah. So now we're trying to end that stereotype, but at the same time we have trying to give them like a real life experience of how to manage life in the future. And that's why like the age we recruit girls from is like from 12 to 16, especially in Africa. You know, once they pass that age, it's very hard to get them to focus now because now they feel like they're like grown and all like grown women and start doing like adult stuff. So that's why at that young age, that's when we try to target them to get them, and then we try to change their life through that area.
That's incredible, man. And I'm really happy you're focusing on other things outside of soccer, right? Because to your point, most players aren't going to go professional. And you need to be able to have, backup plans to ensure that, like, you know, in case soccer doesn't work out, you'll be okay and you'll be able to do other things. And I think that's the right approach for sure. That was my approach going to college, right? It was like backup plan if soccer doesn't work out.
Yeah,
And you just follow on that because to your point, you can't control everything. I know a lot of players, some of what we had on this podcast who had all the right talent, had all the right work ethic, the right consistency and discipline, but injury or COVID or something happened where that just impacted their ability to go professional. Right? So like being able to like be ready for other things when plan A doesn't go accordingly is super important. And I'm happy you're preparing these kids for life outside of soccer, and education is huge, hugely important, plays a big role in that.
yeah, for sure.
As you look back over your career, what would you say has been the highlight of your soccer journey so far?
I would say like the highlight was getting that first call when I was in college to go back home to represent my country. I was like, I think that's like everyone dream right there, getting that opportunity because that point, I wasn't even a professional player yet. So at least I got that opportunity, and the coach he trusted me and he called me in college. Like I was actually surprised when I actually got the call. I was shocked then, but I went back home and it was a good experience.
That's incredible, man. I'm happy for to hear that for you. On the flip side, what would you say has been the low light of your soccer journey so far?
I was say injuries because for me, like since as a kid growing up, I experienced an injury that almost ended my career before it even started. Because I was as a kid growing up, playing against grown men in Africa, and I got kicked in the stomach playing soccer, and I was told I think like my kidney rupture or something like that, and I was told I was never gonna play soccer again, and
Well,
I beat the odds and I'm playing, but I then and then last year, I mean in college I had like a sprain and fractured ankle, but came back had hamstring problem, came back well last year because I actually lost my head a little bit because I was starting every game, playing well, doing everything, and then we did like a 12 days road trip. So we had 4 games in 12 days in 3 different cities.
well,
So we had a game in Florida, and then we had a game in Atlanta, and then we had a game in Tennessee. So we actually played Chattanooga, Club de Leon, and then Savannah Clovers. So on that game scale, it was like a once you travel, you don't really take a lot of guys, especially when you're going like a long road trip. So you're gonna take like 17 players,
hmm
and at that time we were facing injuries too. So I had to play more minutes, and next day on a flight to another city. Then so it was like just too much for the body. And I remember like against Chattanooga, popped my hamstring. Like
well,
heard the sound very loud. Went down. Then there's no it was like a non-contact. So it wasn't like I got touched, nothing so but like, okay, why did he just go down? And I was laying down. Then I think it took like 6 minutes to get me off the field.
well,
And so that was in my head, and then I was out for a while, and then I got good, and I started training again, and then I got this weird stuff called turf toes. Apparently, like there's no treatment for it, but sometimes your toes will just get swollen. You can't even put your foot in shoes. You can't even walk on it. So now it will
well,
happen for like a week or two, and then it will go away. You feel like you're fine again, and then it come back. So after coming from a hammy injury, that happened. So like I was out for like is I say like a month and a half, and then I was fine, and then I realized I wasn't in the squad because the coach just said you've been out for long. I mean, I was like, well, I was a starter. He said, but yeah, things have changed now. You've been out for so long now. I don't know if you even game fit. Blah blah blah. So now, like mentally now in my own head, like I'm not good enough. Like this that. So it was actually like a very tough time on me. Like I had to talk to like a sports psychologist to help me because it was just too much because like you play and then now you don't even get look at sometimes you don't even make the roster. Like how that make no sense. And then you see players that is on the roster in front of you, you're like how? But like so like that. And then kept going on, and then so luckily for me, I was able to get help that I needed, and so by the time I was all clear and stuff, like the season was already over. So like it was a very tough spot, and I'm pretty sure it's not just me. There's a lot of players that go through that, just finding like a sense of belonging, because most of the time they won't even tell you. Like the coaches won't tell you. You just see yourself not playing. They won't give you an explanation. Because I was surprised because the fact that I started every game playing 90. Even when I was hurt and I had a hamstring injury, he still say, "Oh, okay." you give me 45 minutes. Just give me 45 minutes. And they demanding you, and then boom, you got hurt. Take the time off, and then now you come back. They don't even look at you the same. So like, I was like, wow. So it was very tough, but luckily I was able to get help that I needed, and that actually shaped my mind because this year, because I think that actually prepared me too, and my body was good. I came in this season faster than before, stronger than before, because I think it was just all of that disappointment, that rejection, and just piled up. And then I decided to use that in a good way rather than just nagging about it and just sit down and blame the world, point finger and try to blame people. I just grounded off. Got me a personal trainer off season. I train 3 times a day. I train in the morning, I train at night, and then in the middle of the day, I get like a gym session. I do that like 5 times a week, and then take Sunday off, and then Saturday I get like a little bit of a game in because my personal trainer I had on Saturday, he was scheduled like a pickup game with all of his clients, and luckily for me, it was all high level professional players or Division 1 college players, so the level was good. So train 5 times a week, and then Saturday get like a pickup game in, and then Sunday rest my body. Did that over the whole off season. So I think that actually prepared me better this year. So far, we 8 games in. I can actually see the difference from my game, like my confidence level compared to the last year. Because like last year I was just like a role player. Because like because the coach he saw me just as a like cruncher. I said, roll as a 6. I don't want you just destroy and give the ball an 8 or 10. But now this coach, he likes me. Everything will go through me. I'm getting like 60, 70, 80 touches a game. So compared to like last season where I would probably touch the ball like maybe 30 times. But don't get me wrong, the coach from last year, amazing coach. Like he brought a different style of my game that I haven't seen. Maybe play a different way that I haven't played before. Which are very good. But I felt like I could have done more. But like I could have done more, I could have given more. But he understood the game differently. Like
Yep.
because it's a teamwork. Do your job. Let this guy do his job. Let that guy do his job. Just do your job. So that's it. But this year, it's a little bit more, a little bit more. So this year, I can feel like a different version of Nuke than the last year. More confidence. Like I can ping a 70-yard ball, 60-yard ball, 25-yard ball on the target. But at first, I would hesitate. Oh, do I want to play long ball? What's the coach going to think in my own head? So, but
Yep.
this year, playing with that freedom. So which is a lot different compared to when you like try to prove you feel like you got something to prove every time.
Yeah. Confidence is huge, especially at those levels, right? It makes all the difference in the world. The minute you start doubting yourself, you're not going to play your best. And that kind of just feeds on itself. And the cycle becomes this vicious cycle that just kind of makes it worse. And you touch on, talking to somebody, taking a therapy when you were dealing with these mental struggles that you had with soccer and not playing, right? When soccer is such a big part of your life for such a long time, it's become a big part of identity. When you lose that, it can be quite hard to deal with mentally. I guess for players who go through similar experiences, what advice do you have for them? In addition to going out and seeking help from a professional.
I would say like find a friend that will just listen because with stuff like that you don't want people telling you oh do this do that you soft blah blah. You just find someone that will just listen to what you got to say. Like sometimes that's all it takes because the guy wants someone listening to what I got to say. And it's a judgment free zone. No one gonna no one gonna criticize you about anything because that's like you're already fighting those things in your head. So you just
Hmm.
want somebody that gonna help you make that easier rather than them throwing stuff back at you and then be like, oh wow. It's good when they ask questions and make you figure it out rather than
Yeah.
they just telling you what to do. Like that's one thing about the lady. Like we talk, and she would ask me a question. Now like, I've never thought of it like that. Then now you look at it from a different perspective. And so like so I would say I always ask for help. And like for me, what I used to do when I'm stressed, like because once I stress, I start to like stress eat, especially when I'm injured and stuff. I try to like go a little bit of all of my habit, like start eating like not like fast food, but like start eating sweet like crazy, and now I'll feel the difference. But I try to control that. Once I get in that habit, I go for a walk, go for a jog, or like just call somebody like what is my girlfriend. I'm just gonna take my mind off of that. Then I have like my former academy coach. Like so now I reach out to him because sometimes after the game, like up to this day, it still happen. The day of the game, after the game, I don't sleep because I will be laying in my bed. I was like, it's like I'm back on the field. I'll see everything. Oh, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I should have done that. Like, so he gave me like advice. Sometimes just go to the movies after the game. Just take your hair out of soccer. But sometimes it's hard to do, but like
Yeah.
that, but like it's not stuff that just happening overnight. It's like a practice. You got to train your mind to do that. So since last year, I've been working on that, and it's kind of different. So now,
Hmm.
like after the game, sometimes I just sit down, just listen to music, and now I started listening to different type of music too. Some music that would just calm you down rather than at first my pre-game music used to be like all hype, like I'm going to war or something. Like it get me like listening like all hype music, just some. But now I like more like the calm version, just listen to some like calm music, like or sometimes gospel music, and just
Hmm.
get my mind right, and then go on the field, do what I gotta do after the game. You cannot change the result from the game, even though you was like, oh, well, I've done that, but now it's happened. Now I just focus on the next game. So now I've been training my mind to do that, and I've actually been working a lot. So for most of the young kids, young players, or even players on the higher level, like going through stuff like that. That's like some things you can do, like go to the movie, go for a walk. Just find you somebody that understands you, that willing to listen to you, and I will just be there for you. If you call someone at 2 a.m., like you're not gonna answer, and just listen.
Yeah.
Do that. Always ask for help if you can.
Super, super helpful advice and wholeheartedly agree there. As we wrap up this segment of the podcast, any last minute or final advice for young soccer players out there that want to go play at the highest level possible for them?
So that's one thing. I just had this conversation with my youngest brother. So he left soccer, which I wasn't mad. He was a decent goalie, and then he went to basketball, and he came similar how I came to, but he's in a prep school in New Jersey. So he went from soccer, he was goalie, he went to basketball, and he went to football. He was a tight end, like being a kicker, but he made a transition. I think last year, 2 years ago, to track and field. So now he's one of the best like long distance, high jump, 4x4 relay in like actually in the country. So in his team, so I think he like top 10 in the country, and he number 3 in the state of New Jersey. So so he having all of them, all of those offers and stuff that come. Now it's come to the decision making. I,
Yeah.
I told him like, don't let no one make that decision for you. Because I feel like that's one of the things that happen in the U.S. A lot of kids have pressure. It's like most parents, and this goes to the parents too. Like, stop trying to make your kid to live your dream. Let that kid make his or her own decision. Because some parents, I say that whole dream was to go to Clemson, and back in that day, they didn't get that chance to. So now they want to pressure that kid to go to Clemson or to go to Duke. Or like, sometimes like let that kid create their own legacy. And what I try to tell more young players, even when I had the opportunity to talk at Grove from Madison High School, was one of the things I told them. Stop trying to look for clouds on social media. Like you see most of them, D1 bound, D1 bound. Like I have most of my teammates at Niagara that like I always ask them, if you were to make that decision over again, were you still going to choose the D1 route? Because there were some guys that went D1, that they were going D2 and play a lot compared to D1. or could
Hmm.
I go on D3 and play a lot compared to what they did in D1, or could I go to a D2 school and be like a superstar compared to what happened at Division One? Was most people just do that for the name. So now that's why I try to tell those young players. Right now, it's all about because you cannot say you play in college when you didn't play. Oh yeah, I played Division One soccer. Then there's nothing to show that you played Division One soccer. And most of them say, "Oh, but I'm not a." When I they say I'm not a quitter, it's not quitting. If you go to a team you're not playing, you're not getting a fair opportunity. It's not quitting if you try to find different option. You say, "Oh, I can stay and prove myself." You've been here for 4 years. This is your grad year. You haven't proved yourself in 4 years. You think it's your grad year, you're gonna prove yourself. There's sometimes you gotta take the hard truth. Because I'm not the type of friend that will tell you how the honest truth are gonna hurt your feeling, and then compared to trying to sweet talk you and make you feel like, oh yeah, oh no, that's true. Like it's all the coach fault. No, like, bro. Sometimes like if I was in that position, know that I can be the better version of myself because you playing more is how you learn a game compared to you playing like 5 minutes or 3 minutes a game, 2 minutes
Yeah.
a game. That how are you gonna develop? And you know the college aspect. Boom, boom, boom. Sometimes you're coming for that 2 minutes, you won't even touch the ball. Maybe you'll get like three head ups in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm gonna like rather than the cloud, try to go somewhere that you are needed, like someone like gonna value you, like someone that gonna know your how important you are, or know like you are part of the team, you are part of the process, you are part of the story, rather than somewhere where with you or without you, there's no difference. So that's why I tell more kids. At the same time too, it always come to like the money part. Because I have a friend out in Niagara actually had like a Division Two offer, but he left that and he was paying 35,000 at Niagara. Come on, bro. Somebody got to make the smart decision, rational decision. There are some D2 team are better than some Division One team, that but just because of like the financial stuff. So
Yeah.
NAI, some Division Three stuff. Like I mean, like we scrimmage a Division Two team when I was in college. I remember in spring season they beat us. Like I'm telling you, like they beat us.
Yeah.
So like man, that's just how it is. Because like more people just want to feel important. So that's why everyone like D1 pound, D1 pound. So that's the same conversation I have with my little brother. Like, I mean, if you know this team is offering you that much and the coach showing up to every one of your game, every one of your game, how many big school university I show up to your game? Nah, this coach show up to every one of your game. Everyone. I'm not trying to pressure you to make that decision, but you can see the value. The big names try to pick something that's gonna benefit you. That way, once you leave, you're gonna leave a huge legacy. Like when I left Niagara, like me, I know this is gonna hurt for you, but when me and my teammates was at Niagara, we told ourselves like, if we lose versus Canisius, we're gonna retire from soccer. That's what we told ourselves. Like I remember that. So and all of the time I played Canisius. The closest Canisius came to actually winning was the spring season before I left. While when we beat them in PKs, that was the closest. But every time beat them, beat them, beat them. The stuff like that. Like if you leave like a legacy. Like when I left Niagara, I was actually surprised. I got a phone call from the coach when they were doing like the end of the year program. He called me to be a guest speaker, and I flew back to Niagara, and I was proud of that because I didn't know like I left that that much of a legacy in the school. So those are the type of things you want to leave. Like if you go somewhere where you value, even if you leave that place, no matter how long it's been, they will still remember you. So when it comes to make decisions, those are all of the things you want to take into accountability before you make that decision.
That's super insightful advice there, and I think that will help a lot of people who are maybe unsure about where to go and give them some clarity about what's the best fit for them. And just an update for you: this past spring, we beat you guys. So just so you know, Canisius beat Niagara in the
Isn't that
little three tournament. We won that, and I think we'll beat you guys again this year. So I think it's back to us now. When I was there, I mean, what was it? The first couple years we were there, it was like not even a competition, bro. We would just smack you guys every game. That
yeah,
was that was back in the day. Maybe things could go back to that now.
yeah.
Um, we're gonna switch to the last segment of the podcast, right? Where I ask my guests these similar rapid fire questions. For the first question, best player you ever played with?
Best player I ever played with, in my opinion, I'm gonna say Danny Bedoya. So he was teammate with David Villa. He played for the both New York team. He played for FC Tulsa. So just having him around, like I played with him last year in San Diego. I mean, he helped me a lot. Like somebody that actually believe in my ability
Mhm.
and know what I can do. And he, when I was going through that time phase, he noticed that he wanted the person that came to me and reminded me of what I what I have done to come that far. So that's somebody like very, very great player and overall a nice guy.
That's amazing, bro. Really happy to hear that. On the flip side, best player you ever played against?
I would say Douglas Costa in the US Open Cup.
It's a tough one, bro. The guy's a baller. Last question for you: who's winning the Ballon d'Or this year?
I mean, so like I would say right now Vinicius Junior is like the front runner. By the end of the day, it's gonna come down to the Copa America and the Euro. So if England was to win the Euro, I would say Drew Bellingham. But I would say right now, I'm gonna say is Vinicius. And to add on that, it's crazy how now like I say Vinicius Junior have like 25 goals on contribution or competition. See how now it left from this to that now. Like so now
Back to
that's what
normal.
I know. Say back to normal. So now people think that that's not a big number because Messi and Ronaldo just made just
Inflate everything, yeah.
as a
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the tournaments this summer, right, Copa America and the Euros are going to play a big factor. But to your point, I think Vinny's just slightly edging out Bellingham right now, so he's probably the front runner. But really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks for joining us. For the listeners that want to follow your journey and continue to watch you grow and develop, where can they find you?
oh yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at Nuukele. It's just my name, which is spelled Nuukele. So like I swear, Instagram, Twitter is like the same. It's the same thing.
Great. Thanks again for hopping on and having this conversation. Really enjoyed it, and I'm sure our viewers will also do the same.
Oh man, thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure. I love what you're doing. I'm happy I got a call to be on the show, and I appreciate that a lot.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen and support this podcast. It is very much appreciated. Please follow the show if you don't already do so. The show can be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the rest of the other major platforms. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Much love. This show is produced by Yak Awok and original music by Scott Holmes.